Have you ever seen a houseplant online and thought, wow, that's gorgeous? And then you see the price tag and you're like, wait, is that for the whole nursery? Welcome to the absolutely wild world of high-end houseplants, where a single rare leaf can cost more than your phone. But here's the crazy part. What if I told you that people are using some pretty futuristic science to clone these botanical treasures right in their own kitchens? Yeah, today we're going to break down how this is even possible. Yep, you are seeing that right. $1,000. And honestly, sometimes it's way more. That's the kind of price you might see for a super desirable plant like a Variegated Monstera albo. These aren't just decorations, they're status symbols, collector's items, and until recently, they've been incredibly exclusive. Which brings us to the big question.
It really all boils down to one simple thing. They are incredibly rare. Many of these plants, the ones with those beautiful, unique patterns, grow so unbelievably slowly. If you try to propagate them the old-fashioned way with cuttings, you might only get a few new plants a year. So you've got this massive demand, a teeny tiny supply, and boom, prices just go through the roof. It's a classic economics problem that, for a long time, seemed like it had no solution. Until science, stepped in. And the solution sounds like it was pulled straight out of a science fiction movie. It's a technique called micropropagation, which is also known as plant tissue culture. It is, and I'm not exaggerating here, a revolutionary way to clone plants super, super fast. It's what's taking these plants from being a luxury item for the few to something way more people can actually get their hands on. So what is it exactly? Well, micropropagation lets you grow a ton of plants. We're talking hundreds or thousands from just one tiny little piece of the original parent plant, all genetically identical. Think about that. You can create an army of clones from a single leaf in just a few months. It's the ultimate hack for that scarcity problem we were just talking about. And the whole thing is possible because of this one amazing biological superpower that plants have. That superpower is called totipotency. It's a fancy word, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It means that a single plant cell has the entire genetic blueprint, the entire instruction manual, to grow into a whole new plant. See, unlike most animal cells, a lot of plant cells never lose the ability to become anything: a root, a stem, a leaf, the whole shebang. So if you just give that one cell the right environment and the right instructions, it can regenerate an entire organism. It's incredible. So how do you give a cell those right instructions? Well, you kind of follow a recipe. The whole process is about creating the absolute perfect environment and cooking up the perfect meal for these plant cells so they can do their magic. The process starts with creating this special nutrient medium. It's basically a 5-star meal for plant tissue. It's got everything they need: macro and micronutrients as building blocks, essential vitamins, sugar, usually sucrose, for energy, and a gelling agent like agar to give it some structure. But the real secret sauce, the most important ingredient, is the plant growth regulators. These are hormones that act like little traffic cops, telling the cells what to do. Okay, time to divide. Or, all right, let's grow some roots now. And this whole transformation happens in 4 main stages. First up is initiation. That's where you take a tiny, sterilized piece of the mother plant and pop it into that nutrient jelly. Then comes proliferation, where things get really wild. You use hormones to encourage that little piece of tissue to multiply like crazy into tons of new shoots. Next, in the rooting stage, you change the recipe, switch up the hormones to tell all those new shoots it's time to grow roots. And finally, you have acclimatization, which is the super delicate process of gently introducing the tiny new plantlets from their perfect, sterile jar into the big, real world. Okay, now this all sounds very complex, very million-dollar lab, right? Well, this is where the story gets really, really cool. This technology isn't just for scientists in white coats anymore. There's a whole grassroots movement of hobbyists and plant lovers who are turning their own kitchens and spare rooms into these little biotech labs. We're literally watching science get democratized right before our eyes. And this just shows you the pure ingenuity of it all. You see that crazy expensive piece of lab equipment called an autoclave for sterilization? Yeah, people are replacing that with a regular old pressure cooker. That $1,000 laminar flow hood that creates a sterile workspace, they're building their own still air boxes out of a plastic storage bin for like $20. And the special scientific culture vessels? Nope, humble mason jars. It's amazing. This quote from our source material just captures the whole vibe perfectly, doesn't it? People are turning their kitchens into sci-fi labs. It's this incredible mix of DIY spirit, genuine scientific curiosity, and just a deep love for plants. It really does feel like science fiction is becoming a kitchen table reality. So why are people going to all this trouble? Well, the reasons are all over the map. For some, yeah, it's absolutely about the money. Cloning a $1,000 plant can be a pretty sweet side hustle. For others, it's just a fascinating, deeply engaging hobby where they get to learn real-world scientific skills. And for the really serious collectors, it's like a biological insurance policy, a way to create backups of their most precious, maybe even irreplaceable plants.
All of this activity raises a really big question. Is this the future of gardening? And like with any powerful new technology, micropropagation has its own set of amazing benefits and, of course, some pretty significant challenges that are important to get your head around. On the one hand, the advantages are just massive. You get incredibly fast multiplication, you can produce plants that are guaranteed to be disease-free, and you can do it all year round in a really small space. But, and this is a big but, the downsides are real. You have to be almost surgically clean because one stray bit of mold or bacteria can ruin your entire batch. The initial setup can still cost a bit of time and money, and, the process itself can be pretty labor-intensive. It's definitely not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
So, when you step back, this whole story is so much bigger than just houseplants, isn't it? We're watching a complex piece of biotechnology become accessible to regular people, all fueled by passion and shared knowledge on the internet. And it really makes you wonder, if you can clone a plant in your kitchen today, what powerful science is going to be democratized tomorrow? What other fields out there are just waiting for their own mason jar moment?